on.
Brother, wake up.
Fellow humans, we ask, can we together deliver peace and healing to heart and mind?
Ulysses reheard the words being replayed.
Over profit. Okay, was any of oh look at this. All right, we've got this cool new frame in the middle. We've got a cool new thing. So no longer okay. So for those of you just tuning in, welcome to Udicci.TV. If you happen to be our new mate, which I can't do that particular accent, but you know where you're from and you know who you are because you said you'd be tuning in. Welcome to Udicci.TV. And let's see, Janice, are you ready? I don't know. You're going to be coming on. Phil Coleman's going to be coming on. We've got, Cheyenne's coming on. We've got a show for you tonight. And our shows are always riveting and full of useful information. Okay, so we really just get together, try to have fun, and share with everybody how we want to change the world together with you and prove the possibility of repurposing capitalism for the welfare of humanity over profit. Right, Tim?
Absolutely. So what do you think of the frame and the picture and kind of the little flashback? I kind of played around and tried to get us a little bit better looking set.
Yeah, no, I like it. So obviously when I get back to South Carolina, I'm going to be doing some more work on down here. For those who look closely, you can still see the frame. Like you can see my frame.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're right. So I don't know why that's happening, but I think that's cool. And anyways, one of the things I want to do, anyways, is to put the green screen kind of. I want to be sitting in a chair like you are.
Yeah,
right? So
I agree. I think that. Yeah, I think if we can get that, I think that'd look really cool.
Yeah, and so like the other thing I have to kind of remember to do is you're this way. So that's going to be a little bit different for me to I'm going to have to kind of look at you this way. So I'm going to have to remember, Tim, you're out the window right now. So that's okay. I'm going to just kind of readjust things and maybe kind of sit this direction so that, I'm looking at you right now. So yeah, this is cool. I like it. We've got Nereda's picture from the studio. I would love to connect with Nereda. Actually, you know what? If anybody's watching and knows how we can get a hold of her, I'd like to invite her to Ceox Holiday Chat, upon which we will also be graced with the presence of Mr. tap out himself.
What? Tag is coming on for Ceox?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Internet issue. Internet
Uh-oh.
issue. Oh,
Uh-oh.
no. I don't know who's having the internet issue. I will
Mine
say
is
that this
fully
happens
green.
on occasion from where I live. What's that?
Mine is fully green, and I would guess that it's yours. Oh, we have Cheyenne joining us, so this will be... She can tell us if...
Okay.
Oh, that's probably why
Well,
you
it
were
could be that,
experiencing...
right? It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like 2 whole people. Whoa. Down comes the internet. Well, now I'm like very, very fuzzy on my end, but I'll just be okay with that. So, Tim, you're asking like who was I talking about coming on the Ceox holiday chat? And by the way, did you get that slide ready for?
Yeah,
our
actually,
sponsor break?
hold on.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I'll
sponsor break is
Hold on
coming
one
up
second.
here shortly. Oh, no, we don't need that yet. Don't need that yet.
No.
Nope. Oh, I see. Wait. You can bring it up top.
Hold on.
What?
Go ahead. Keep talking about it. Ceox.
Okay. All right. See, here's the thing: is like Tim actually has to be listening right now because he asked the question, "What are you talking about with Mr. Tapout?" And I know that he knows what I'm talking about. And, okay, he's hearing me right now, trying to actually change the frame. I believe that's what he's trying to do, is change the frame to talk to you or show you the Ceox holiday chat image, which we are going to be running here as a sponsor, our sponsor break all night long, because we have high-end sponsors with the show, which is ourself, and that's okay. That's okay, because I think you have to sponsor yourself. There we go. Ceox holiday chat part 2. A little bit of what was that? Naked Gun, right? Naked Gun part 2.
Yes.
I believe.
Naked Gun part 2.
Naked Gun part 2. All right, Tim. So, who will be joining us, or who is at least at this point said that? Yep, I can likely get there, and we'll be getting there soon. Who would that be?
Yeah, it would sound as though like we have a visitor coming in the name of Ricardo Nieves.
Ricardo will be joining us on holiday chat.
Awesome. That will be fun. We'll have to have a few. We'll have to have a few video segments prepped for that visit.
Well, funny you should say that, because we're going way back to the early times, and we're revisiting Festivus, during which we had a special combo of Philip Godcloud Coleman and Jesse Sprinkle beginning to just try to demonstrate to the world what we were hoping to show as like new ways of creating content together. Anyways, the hope is also that both Phil Coleman and Jesse Sprinkle will be joining us on Ceox Holiday Chat Part 2.
Awesome.
So yeah,
awesome.
We definitely have to find some old media, and for those of you just tuning in, again, welcome to Udicci.TV. This is Unencrypted. My name is Chuck Lavecchi, and over on the one of those sides, and my thing is feeding up right now, is Tim Maslin. And let me tell you, if there ever was a person who was it is Tim. It is IT Tim. Tim, like, we're going to have to change your name now to like TIM.IT, which would be kind of a fun way of having people access Udicci IT, which we're going to be talking about at the end of this episode. But to begin with, tonight we're going to be talking about the Satoshi trial and what that means for Craig Wright, and what that means for all the people who still don't believe that it's Craig Wright. And really, who cares, because it's about the technology. And I think we need to start talking about BSV a lot more than we've been talking about. And, we're certainly open to having conversations with technically oriented people who know a lot more than we do to sit there and tell us why we should care that Craig Wright is or is not Satoshi. If the BSV blockchain is doing all the things that it's saying that it's doing, and actually begins to kind of threaten the longevity of those more popular chains, let's say. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. And like I said, hopefully we have a couple more people who will be joining us. And which typically happens at that point in time is the conversation just goes whatever direction it needs to go, as we try to keep you engaged in this riveting content, which will go at 7 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock, we switch over to something called Ceox, where we kind of start talking more about the gameplay, right? Because the huge stuff inside of blockchain right now is gameplay. And why is it gameplay? But it's not only gameplay, it's like currency play. And it's not only currency play, it's commodity play, and it's legislation play. And it's all these other things that come into it. But also, how do we build games together that teach the world to change to the point where what we are actually doing is working to repurpose capitalism for the welfare of humanity over profit? And then at 9 o'clock, we switch over and we join the pirates, where we'll be talking about new roles and rules, and how Blackbeard now rules the sea in his new roles for the number of different or blockchain projects that he is working on. All right, so it looks about it's our time for our first sponsor break, which simply means this for right now. For the next minute, we're not going to say anything. We're just going to put up the Ceox holiday chat, over the whole screen, and then we're going to come back and jump in. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna come back now. So technically, we're at this little what we call sponsor break.
There's the squad.
Yeah, can you
we
see us
are.
now? Yeah, like
How's it
super
going, Phil?
cool, high-end tech here, right?
Love it.
We're having all sorts of silliness with OBS and having green screens from this state to another state. But Mr. Coleman.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna come back now. So technically, we're at
Wait,
what we call
what happened there?
break.
There's the squad.
There we are.
Oh, somebody's got an audio
like
going.
super cool,
Cheyenne, does
high-end
Cheyenne
tech,
have it
right?
maybe?
Love it. We're having
Okay,
all sorts
hold
of
on. So we've got an audio issue.
We haven't.
Let's see here.
Oh, there, man! Look at
Oh.
Phil fitting right in there. Nice.
Yeah, I turned the phone. I was like, I think I see what's going on here. Uh-oh.
All right,
All I
excellent.
see
So
is
we're
me.
just getting a little bit of an echo background. So, all right. So first things first, while we have God Cloud, because like he's a man of like the world right now. He's taking over the world. He's in high demand, and I know some of you actually think I'm joking right now. Like they're like, wait, what do you mean? How did this guy go from like Rochester to New York to like world domination in 3.2 seconds? And it's like, well, first off, it didn't take 3.2 seconds. It took about 15 years. However, we're talking about that, right? It didn't happen overnight, but it
was
did
a while.
happen. But before, because he's here, and we're going to try to get him to kind of commit right now to December 30th, where we're doing the Ceox holiday chat. And I kind of want to bring this up because it was funny that we did with you. I think it was in 2012. I'll have to look up the date again, but it was Festivus. And it was the time that you and Jesse did that performance downstairs at Blue.
Mhm.
That was our first holiday stream. So we're kind of bring it back together. So I reached out to Jesse, and he's telling me he's going to make it on the schedule. So I was hoping, that we can get you on that schedule, get you confirmed to say hey,
Oh
let's
yeah,
kinda
I'm
get
there.
that-
I'm
Okay.
there. Lock it in. Say no
Yeah,
more,
that's
lock it in.
okay. That's fun because for anybody who begins watching this right now, particularly those who are big fans of Phil, you're sitting here going, who are these guys and what are they talking about? Because again, this overnight success didn't happen overnight. It began many, many years ago. But Mr. Phil, tell us about what is going on in your life since we talked to you, which was probably about 6 months ago. Nothing in your life looks the same.
No, well, man, I don't even know where to start. It's funny because back then, I think I couldn't talk about the George Lopez project at all yet. That was still, under wraps. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, now that's done, and there's another project that, I'm in talks with George about, and we might even be bringing in Carlos Santana's team. Well, it's not even a might be. I'm talking to his team as well. So we're going to be doing something all together too, which I'm like, I'm in shock about it. It's crazy when, I got Eddie Vargas, who is Carlos's vocalist. He's hitting me up like, hey man, what are we getting on these sound designs? Or, how are we going to approach this? How are we going to approach that? And I'm just like, yo, this is nuts that this is a conversation that I'm having right now. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I talked to George, talked to Carlos, I think this, I think that, they like that. And I'm like, awesome. I'm like, yeah, so that's something really exciting that I got coming up. I just worked with a gallery out of West London to bring these first edition Shakespeare books to the blockchain. We had some technical difficulties on the platform that we went through, unfortunately, but we're just going to start it over. We're going to be going to a new platform. So I'm in talks with some people who are involved with Solana. We're going to be doing something there. So, we got a solid drop set up, but we were just having issues with the purchasing mechanism, and some other things were just, not what we were hoping for. So we're switching it up, switching platforms, going to switch blockchains too.
Hey, that's actually interesting. I mean, tonight our focus, and it's actually funny. It's what you commented on, right? Is where I was talking about Satoshi Nakamoto, and our theme for tonight is it's about the technology.
Mhm.
Because realistically, and I don't want to get I don't want to get too far down this chain yet, but as you're seeing, like, huge demand, huge opportunity, and a whole bunch of stuff out there that's not quite what they claim it to be. And it's like that technology. Now, the flip side is there's some of the technology that's everything it's claimed to be and more than most people have a clue about. Right. So
Right.
it's huge technology. I don't want to go too far down that. I want to actually go back from Carlos Santana to Busta Rhymes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Right. Yeah. So and okay, so I'm gonna have to backtrack a bit to make all this like make sense. So in New York, my buddy, he goes by Arts. It's ARTZ Arts. He's the first rapper combined with being an art curator. He was able to get his work along with several other artists into a big auction house, and they sold some pieces there. My one of my partners, JJ Weinberg, who's done some amazing stuff as well, was one of those artists who got some work sold. And he actually did the art for my NFT drop, the drummies. I don't know if you've seen the little drum machine head guys, but but Arts was hosting an event. He's like, hey man, looking for some sponsors, got room for you if you want to sponsor. I'm like, yeah, sure, dude. I got it, whatever. So I sponsor this event in New York City along with Known Origin, Cool Cats, a couple other awesome people and projects and organizations and whatnot. So we're having this event at Quad Studios, and that's a legendary studio in New York City. A lot of people don't know that's where Tupac got shot the first time. So it's a legendary studio, and while we're there, I run into Busta Rhymes for the first time ever in my life. I see he's getting off the elevator, and I was kind of in his way, and I guess he didn't like that, so he kind of gives me this look, and I'm like, dude, like, sorry. So I see Busta Rhymes there, right? And apparently he because of where we were having our party and everything, he had to move his he has a session at this particular time, or at that particular time he was supposed to be recording, but because of the party that was going on, they had to move him to another studio. So he's like, whose party is this? And it's my guy Arts' party. So he's like, oh, I gotta talk to this Arts guy. So it's cool that they actually got to connect, because the same event that happened in New York is what happened in Miami. That was the Miami version of it. So we're doing a thing down there, and obviously I'm not missing it. So I'm hanging out, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I like to, even though whatever, like, I had the VIP passes and that, like, I like to watch the show. You know what I mean? Like, I like to sit in the crowd and like watch the show. But it got too packed. It was too much. So I'm like, like, let me go around backstage, and I get on to get on the stage and behind, and now I'm right there on stage with Busta Rhymes watching him perform. I'm like, okay, now this is a seat right here. You know what I mean? So, and that event was amazing, amongst the other amazing events that I got to go to down there and hang out with all these high caliber artists, with the higher ups from these platforms, getting to meet all these people. It's been a wild ride, and especially just getting a bird's eye view of Busta Rhymes, who's arguably one of the greatest rappers ever. Like, he's a beast. You know what I mean? Like, we talk about like the mumble rappers and stuff out now, and he's one of the few where it's still like the art form of being a vocalist is very present within him. Like, just standing next to him, being that close and watching him do his thing, it's like, man, it's like I'm as close as I am to my phone is how close I was to the guy. You know what I mean? And just hearing him just rapping, just him killing it, and he's funny too. Yeah, man, it was an awesome time. So that's that's how I got to hang
I
with
gotta
Busta.
have both of you guys on the holiday show. So Willie Williams is gonna be joining us, and anyways, if you don't know him, he is a vocal lyricist. I don't know how else to say like what he does. His craft is, and when you talk about a vocalist, I think that's a great conversation, sort of in a way that we need to be having, right now in society, one of the things we need to do is to help each other hear the other person's voice without condemning the word or tone instantly, right? Like, in other words,
Right.
just helping each other hear each other before. So, like when we talk about a vocalist or who just has such a talent, like you're seeing, when you talk about a Buster Rhymes, like what do we really mean by that? Like when and it starts actually defining some of these talents and helping people to understand, like right now is a time to learn to express yourself well and in preparation for where you want to establish yourself, not only in the metaverse, which I'm sorry is a very scary thing, but you do need to begin establishing yourself on a blockchain. You will begin doing that. You will begin to connecting through NFTs. You'll be using NFTs. We look at it all about gaming right now, but this is transformative technology. This is
Yep.
world changing economic reformation right in front of our eyes. And, we can have a lot of fun, just like you're doing in Miami, but never should we recognize there or lose track of the opportunity right now to truly revolutionize humanity's future.
Right. And that's the thing. And even with how we're kind of looking at it right now, like this is a very, like closed, how do I want to put this?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say it. It's we right now we have a super closed-minded view of what NFTs and tokenization,
Yes.
implies or points to.
Yep.
It's like so many times people are like, oh, you're in NFTs, you're into art, and it's like, well, yeah, but no, there's a lot more to it.
That's
Which
right.
I'm working on, and I have a lot of skills that I need to develop before I can fully kind of bring what I want out of tokenization and blockchain tech. I always tell people once it's common within real estate and within medicine, like that's when we're going to see it explode. That's when it's
Actually,
going to be here.
we'll do an off stream, like something where we can kind of decide when to release different pieces of it. But we are very specifically now beginning to design some stuff for real estate, which are very different economic models, right?
Okay.
And one of the reasons, we are focusing on BSV for some very, again, our background's technology, right? There are
Right.
definitely a few chains that are worth really looking into. And I'm going to say that maybe there's 5 to 7 right now that the actual technology itself is worth kind of like, let's get the deep dive inside it. And, Solana is one of those, right? And then there's a number of other things, but then we also have to look at things that, like Monero, like we may love it, but if we think we're going to be in a world of deregulation, we're sort of fooling ourselves. So let's kind of like, there will be coins which are properly regulated and well governed. And as a society, you want healthy governance. So we can't be afraid of well governed blockchains, which have substantial opportunity through the technology, if you will. But anyways, yeah, we'll have to take that like this. That'll have to be an offline thing because we'll have to share with some of the models that we're working on with you.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
And literally, and just kind of have some real fun with this because I can't remember. You had a background with some technology? Did you start getting into code or script at some point in time?
No, that wasn't me. No, I
Okay,
have
sorry.
several people who do that for me, but
Okay.
no, I'm not that guy.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. Because I remember like when you started the finger drive, you put together a lot in the way of the electronics. So I wasn't sure how much how depth.
Oh
Depth
yeah,
you went
no,
there.
no, no. I was just doing sound design, which I guess is its own like technology based
Right,
thing, but it's a
right,
little
exactly.
different than coding. So yeah.
Yeah. And I just don't know that side. I don't know sound design, well enough. I want to.
Yeah,
It's part of one of.
I hardly know it, so
Well, it's one of those things, and I think what we're into now is a time frame where a lot of self-taught people are sort of kind of understanding exactly what they taught themselves.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, and that's kind of what I've taken and have made, my career from. It was surviving as being, a self-taught musician from, every facet of that, being a self-taught guitar player and bassist and producer and finger drummer and, like sample pack sound curator and all that type of stuff, and I was still able to get on these, software channels and to get in these magazines and do all this stuff without paying a dime for like advertising or having a marketing team behind me. And all I did was really take that, apply it to Web3, and then say, hey, do you want me to help you do this as well? Like, yeah, okay, well, here's my fee, let's go,
Yeah.
and here I am now, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's beautifully put, what you just said. I love that. Yeah, definitely relate to that.
And yeah, and it's kind of fun because I think as we're experiencing, because we're sort of following, we're on parallel trajectories, right? It just so happens that I'll say that you're on the leading market side and we're down deep in the technology side, right? So it's kind of fun because like we're real deep in the technology
Yeah.
side. Like we're talking, you know, 2 degrees of separation in the same way that you're 2 degrees of separation from, right? I mean, we've got the depth, the opportunities to touch deep into the technology, like very deep. And not trying to say this in any way other than say, hey, let's talk about Satoshi. And like, what started that conversation for a second. So yes, changing topics real quick. But Tim, what I want to do real quick is we're going to run a sponsor break, which is really just our same old Ceox holiday thing. Because one of the things you talked about was, sponsoring different events. And one of the things I want people to start taking away from these conversations is it's okay to sponsor yourself, right? It's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
okay to get out there. And yeah, I mean, sure, would we like to get income from people watching our stream? Yeah, but you know how much that does not matter to us? I mean, when we're walking into the blockchain in the NFT world, when we're walking in right now at the ground level of revolutionary technology, like, the pennies that you might throw toward your own sponsorship right now, and they're dollars, but in fiat world, we can call them pennies more rightly. That you are throwing towards sponsoring what is yourself and getting your brand out there. It's very, very powerful. But yeah, I want to take that break. Then we're going to talk about a yacht in Miami and Satoshi.
Okay.
Wait, I don't know if he said yacht. I don't know if he said yacht, but we'll come back and we're going to talk yachts and Satoshi. And if there's anybody else who's going to join us, let's see. You can text me. Or you can just let me know. All right, we'll get
and wing sauce, and oh my God, remember those days, man. I have
Oh, yes.
nightmares of being back in Matthews, man, and I'm like, yo, like what are all these orders coming
Yeah, I am ready to come back.
Enough reminiscing behind the scenes. A little bit of it got through, but
Well,
oh
you know,
man,
that's
the
kind of the
days.
fun thing. Actually, I'm half thinking we can just keep on the audio. I mean, look, until the day we
Well.
actually get any kind of sponsorship like that, and I, seriously don't care to pursue it. But on to this about Satoshi and yachts. But Tim, what I want to do is just make sure that we've got like 20 minutes left here, and what I want to do is just make sure that we're putting sort of like, let's say, some good timing. We've got 3 things we have to do because I want to actually pull up Udicci Us and have you maybe kind of navigate through a little bit and just have some fun with that. So we'll do that at the end.
Okay.
All right. And out of the gate, let's talk Satoshi. So literally, you've been on I'll say the market side of it. Like I said, you've been really enjoying the let's call it the pop culture NFT, right? Right, like
yes,
right.
we can
I
call it
think
that.
that's like I'm trying to really not in any way be, I think that like that's a good term for the way people are looking at it right now, right?
That's fair. I'd call it that also.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think I was at a meetup yesterday, and we were sort of talking about this, and even like a very strong technologist still was kind of like getting confused about what an NFT was, because she's like, it's just a JPEG. I'm like, I got it, but no. Right. I got it, but no, there's so much more to it. And, we can certainly get into some of the deep what that looks like, and we'll have a little fun getting down there. But so for those who don't know, I'm going to give a little bit of a background, and I want to hear from you, Phil, like what you've heard. So for those who don't know, the blockchain Bitcoin is really what came out like 2008, 2009. White paper is released, and it's from Satoshi Nakamoto, which is a pseudonym for whoever, maybe a group of people, maybe one person, whatever it is, but it comes out as a pseudonym. And it's important that we actually follow through why all of these things happen, because a pseudonym is not meant to be anonymity. It means that I can represent myself differently. So I actually come out with this fictitious character who has historic context. And all of this is actually important to the story of Bitcoin. Now, I'm not trying to go too deep into that, but the actual Bitcoin white paper lays out what blockchain is supposed to be. And it's supposed to be a peer-to-peer digital cash system that can allow for very affordable microtransactions. And to not going deep, one of the issues we have in our financial services industry right now is the inability to actually exchange a penny. And literally a penny, we can't just, if I want to get paid a penny for every single like, the actual cost of paying that penny is prohibitive. So we don't have a good ability to pay for microtransactions. Well, okay, blockchain begins to solve that. And we have some security issues, and blockchain begins to solve that. And all of these things are in a white paper, and this kind of grows. And but for 4 or 5 years, the world is saying, okay, we don't know who Satoshi really is, but we know that this thing's pretty cool, and we're building this thing together, and it's actually working together. And then Satoshi walked off the scene. Now, nobody knows why Satoshi walked off the scene, but Satoshi just sort of backslid, didn't come around, whatever's happening. Then, of course, the hunt for Satoshi, which, by the way, is part of gamification, which is an important part of the blockchain. So all of this is important to understand, that it was literally thought of from day one to get people going down some rabbit holes and, following down new paths, which you sort of have to do. And then, of course, a bunch of people said, well, we need to know who Satoshi is. And they began their forensic evidence of like how many spaces we're after a period, and who writes like that in this academic language, and under what writing styles are they, and who might have the ability to really understand all of this. And they basically narrow it down to like 5 to 7 people who it's possible that Satoshi Nakamoto could be. And of course, none of this, nobody wants it to be Craig Wright for some reason. Now, there's going to be all sorts of reasons, and there is a way to prove who you are. It's the whole idea of pulling the sword from the stone, and that still hasn't happened. But we've had a court case now that really starts to establish some sound evidence that Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, here's my thing is, in the end, why do I care anymore? Because it's about the technology, and the BSV technology is really, really strong. But there's an important piece to all of this, and it's all part of the game that's going on. And it's really about who is Satoshi, and comparing what you're kind of comparing notes with others in the industry who kind of might have seen Waldo on their trips to Miami, right? I mean, like, when you're talking with people. So what have you heard about Satoshi? And, where's your thoughts on this?
That's a good question. I mean, let me see. I've heard so many, Bigfoot sightings
Yep.
and, so many things about who this person could be. One thing that I saw that was really cool that people are doing, they're wearing shirts that say, Satoshi is female, or Satoshi is a woman, or something like that, which I'm like, that's pretty fresh. I like that. That's cool. A lot of people, like you were saying, think it's a group of people. Some people are saying that it's ex-members of the CIA, like there's so many things. And who's that one guy, what's his name, he's always yelling. The guy's name's like Dan something or other. He's tried to say that it was Putin or something like that. So you're hearing all this stuff, and it's like crazy, you know what I mean? And I don't know, like I was looking into, when you posted the thing that you posted the other night about how they found out who Satoshi was, whatnot. I looked into that, which I thought, I'm like, hey man, like if there's some concrete evidence pointing at this, which is, more than anything else I've seen.
I'll tell you, like, for
what
me,
I mean?
one of the things, and I didn't look through the evidence. I was listening about the evidence that came in, right? And so, assuming that this is actual evidence that came through the court case, and why not? Whatever, people can go find this. So one of the things apparently that happened with Craig Wright was in 2009-10, whenever it was, on his taxes, he reported this like asset as this Bitcoin thing. And it actually was one of the first times that a taxing organization, it was the Australian taxing organization, like had to sort of start to figure out how to deal with this. And it's actually a very fair enough, right? Like if you actually want to properly fill out your taxes and they ask a question and the best answer you can give them is still inaccurate, right? Because you've literally created something brand new. Like, okay, that's cool. But I guess the point that I'm trying to get there is that he actually, if he actually claimed those on his taxes in 2008 or 9 or whenever that was, like that says something about, right? Like, I mean, okay, like you had a bunch of these Bitcoins before anybody else in the world did.
Right. Yeah. That's something, man. And wow. And could you imagine, like, what, like now that, like, how do you write that in there now? Well, I mean, obviously there's a way to do it, but it's funny seeing it going from, like you don't know how to explain it to being like, hey, I moved, just like you said, the sword from the stone, and what's the pot that he's got, or that Satoshi has in the thing? It's something crazy, right? It's like 100 million Bitcoin or something like that.
They were saying that this court case itself could have settled for, I think, upwards of 150 billion in US dollars, and I can't remember. I think it was 110,000 coins. I can't remember exactly. And that was only in relationship to this particular case, which is, from my understanding, the most substantial of the cases. And I will say that one of the very interesting pieces about all of these legal cases is that in some instances, it seems as though these were necessary cases to be adjudicated in order to properly claim what Bitcoin truly is. Which is right, because the law itself wasn't ready for it. And now the law is even trying to figure it out. And in the end, Craig Wright had to pay like $100 million for what they called was conversion. And I had to understand what conversion was. And it's basically using intellectual property, not illegally, but basically, apparently he had an agreement with this guy in the past, and that company owned some intellectual property, and Craig used that intellectual property that he developed with the other guy in his technology. So therefore, okay, again, fair enough. And even that has to be decided. Like, how do you even begin to decide this piece from that piece, right? So ultimately you got to say, like, if he's paying $100 million for that piece of it and everything, all the jury said no to everything else, and we're talking about something that might have been $170 billion. I mean, basically nothing, right? Because the guy is probably worth far, far more than that. And then that gets into a whole nother story, which we don't have to go so deep with tonight, but that is what's Ayers? What's the first name of Ayers, Tim, the other billionaire? There's another billionaire in BSV, and it's the Ayers
not
group.
Michael, right? It's
right?
Not Michael.
And I say that because everything in this blockchain world right now seems that it could literally be a Hollywood production with the number of twists and turns and this ways and that ways that, and you just sit back and go, none of it's real, but the technology is amazing. Right. And that's why now I'm going from all of that to a yacht in Miami. What is this all about?
Okay, so I'm gonna say right now, I didn't go on the yachts in Miami. There were several yacht parties I was supposed to attend, but I was getting terribly car sick when I was down there, and I didn't want to chance it.
I think we might be talking about something else. You made a post that was like, "Hey,
we're talking about
the
same thing. We're talking about the same thing. We're talking about the same thing. We're talking about the same thing. So there were several parties that I could have gone to, but I was also in talks with some other companies about potentially throwing a crazy yacht party. But things fell through with these other entities and whatnot, and it was just too close, so they didn't happen. There were some other ones that I was invited to attend, but I couldn't, man.
Maybe we have to try to get one. So South Carolina is trying to really become a major player in cybersecurity. We should plan like a low country. It wouldn't be like a yacht, right? But we could do like a low country float. It would actually.
We could get something, man. Like I've got the people who can put this stuff together, which is my thing. You know what I mean? Like I've got, just through all this stuff that I've been working on, like it was funny because like I had people who were like, "Hey, could we, potentially get some yachts?" And I'm like, "Let me ask my friends." And they're like, "Oh, well, here's the list of yachts we can get." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, I mean, as long as we have the time, we can make anything happen. So, yeah, man, whenever you want to talk about it, let's do it.
I want to have some fun with real quick here, because, and this was kind of off. Anybody who's listening who doesn't quite understand what an NFT is, I want to take a second and take a just off the jump here to when when Phil says he makes a phone call and like, here are the yachts we have available, what that is simply a network of people who sort of say, hey, we generally agree on the same values and we kind of like working together with one another and we like the way that we hang out, and okay, here's what we have in common that we can make for available for others who are helping to grow our economy, right? Let's kind of look at that for what it is. So an NFT, a single NFT, could actually be designed to manage that sort of asset sharing, right? So you would actually have people within the network who would agree that here's some resources that we have available, and we'd like for people who think like X, Y, and Z, and that we kind of bring in, that meet these criteria can come into the NFT, and the NFT would actually manage all of that. And once you have a system that does that, you can monetize it 1,000 different ways. But anyways, I just thought that was a great, when you just said that, like, I made a phone call to a bunch of people who have yachts, and it's like, well, awesome, right? I'd say I could probably find somebody with a flat bottom boat and we could all fall in the water. And I'd be okay with that because, the oysters are good. We could pick up a few while we're down there. But yeah, I think, yeah, okay, that's cool. I actually wasn't quite sure what you're going online, but definitely if you start putting something together, I mean, we still have no budget. Offline, we'll talk to you more about that because we are in talks. Right, like, you get it. Yeah, like, okay, remember how, like, when you were actually in talks, you told, and then you said, well, I can't tell, don't tell, undo, say, I didn't.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like, okay, lesson learned. And then I never learned my lesson because I still just say stuff that people go, but what if? And I go, well, that was the pseudonym mean, and none of it was real. It was just a fictitious character named Satoshi
Doesn't matter. It was
Nakamoto.
live on
Now what?
YouTube.
What's that? Right. It doesn't matter that it's on YouTube. Oh man, Phil, I really appreciate you jumping on tonight. I'm still waiting. One of the other ladies, I hope she's able to be listening. She hasn't responded back. I think she would have loved having a conversation with you and learning about it. But so you're good for the 30th? You're good to come on and do holiday chit chat?
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna.
I have
save it in
no
my calendar
idea
and
yet
everything.
what that's actually going to be like. I'm thinking
Gonna
as
be
opposed to
interesting.
this little 3-screen, 3 people, it'll probably be more like the Brady Bunch, something like that. But we'll have to have 9 or something.
Hey, I
We'll have a
love the
party.
Brady Bunch.
We'll have a
I'll
party.
figure that out. We'll figure that piece of it out. But really appreciate
Yeah,
you coming
let's
on,
do it.
man. And so glad, honestly, like, truly does my heart. Your success really brings gratitude to me. And it's like, it really does my heart well to see you succeeding. I mean, we saw you always working on your craft. You were always dedicated to it, and you just kept persevering. And it's happening for you, and it's happening in fun ways, and it's happening in good ways. And it even sounds like perhaps a new home might be in the future.
Yeah, man. Cross your fingers.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
working on a lot, man. So
Nice.
we just gotta. My whole thing right now too is learning to pace myself with
Yes.
everything that's coming. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to. One of my friends put it to me like this. He's like, if you start looking at things with a scarce or like a scarcity driven mindset, he was like, then that's how things are going to occur for you. You know what I mean? But when you look at stuff like, okay, like, yes, this is coming, but there's more coming too, things are going to open up. And that's how I've been looking at everything. But even with that, you still have to pace yourself with the abundance. You can't just splurge.
Hey, and actually, I got to tell you, I thank you, God, on this, but I'll say that, so one of the women there, Janice, who I keep talking about, was going to join. She came in a couple weeks ago, and she was talking to me. We're talking about how you're going to bring well-being through the marketplace. And I'm going to say that you just hit on this core principle, which I'm going to say, stop thinking in terms of scarcity. and start thinking in terms of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I remember a couple of years ago, I was having a conversation at work with somebody, and, you know, the conversation came down to this whole idea is like, well, all economies are based on scarcity. Everything has scarcity to it. I'm like, no, that's actually doesn't have to be true. That's what we've been told, is that everything's based on scarcity. And there's a whole bunch of arguments and theories and models and everything else which have been shared that it's on scarcity, but it doesn't have to be true. It can be on abundance. And when we actually start to think of terms in terms of economics, economic abundance, and economics does not mean a dollar bill or a number of currencies. Economics is the value that your trade journey brings to your soul.
Right. Yes. 1,000%. You know, and that's like, I want to be able to inspire people. And like one of the best things that happened when I was down in Miami was somebody an artist who I was a fan of. He said he was about to quit art, you know, but a little bit after that, I was like, hey man, I want you in my showcase that I did in China with the Stratosphere now. I don't know if you remember the big thing that we did in Beijing. Thank you. I was like, hey man, like I want your stuff in there, you know, please submit. He submitted his work. That allowed him to get some more eyes on his stuff. And he was in another auction down in Miami. And, you know, I'm not going to put his name out there, but he told me in private, he's like, dude, he's like, I'm a little shaken up, about to get evicted, you know, but he's like, and he actually came up, he like kissed me on my cheek. He's like, dude, I'm so happy to see you. You know, thank you for everything you've done. You really inspired me. And I'm back in it. He's like, but, you know, I'm on hard times, about to get evicted. You know, I'm hoping I can get some stuff in this auction. He was like, thank you for everything you've done for me. It allowed, you know, me to get more eyes on me. And unfortunately, I couldn't see how he did in this auction, but he called me and he was like, hey, man, sold some pieces in the auction, paid my landlord, you know? Excellent. And I'm like, dude, you can't put a price tag on that. And that's, you know, you can't go on my website either and be like, you know, then pick that service and pay me for that. That's just something that I do for people who I believe in and who I like. And just the benefit from that is, it means a lot. And to have done that for him too is like, damn, dude, like that's awesome. And that's what I live for. That's what this is about. You know, like, you know, forget the money, forget the trips and all that type of stuff. If I can inspire people and just make a difference in people's lives, that makes me feel awesome, you know, and that, you know, makes even telling my my wife about it, she's like tearing up. She's like, wow. She's like, yeah. Because she's like, man, she's like, this is what you're doing out here. And I'm like, yes, like this is why, you know, this is why we're here. This is why people respect me, you know, me and us, and, you know, love us and all that stuff. And it comes around to you, you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. That's what I want to do for people. And it gets to the point too where it starts to become that, you know, your money won't be good with people, you know what I mean? They're like, hey, your money's no good. We got you, you know, we'll take care of you, you know, whatever you need. Like, oh, you got an NFT out here, I'll buy it. Nothing, whatever. You're great. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to get to. That's what I'm aspiring to be. And yeah, just like you said, man, it's not necessarily like a stock value that you can like pinpoint or anything, but it's like, I'm just trying to show everybody like, yo, this is what I think a good person is and should be, and I'm gonna do it.
It's truly, if we cannot raise human value, we should not raise market value.
No, and I don't think that anything being sold, you know, if you can't trace it back to the human value, then it's not. I don't think it's worth it. You know what I mean? Like just about anything that I have and I treasure. You know, it's because wherever it came from, I have a connection with that source. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, like either, you know, these people or this person, whoever has worked hard on this particular thing. And man, this is really cool. I love it. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm connected with the things that I'm connected with the artists I'm connected with the music that I love. You know what I mean? It's like I'm connected with the musicians. Not like I'm like, oh man, I love Universal. They made so much money last year. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not it. I'm like, yo, I love these artists. Like they came up through this, through that, and boom, they're doing this. And, you know, I actually got to talk to them. They were cool, you know, so on like that. So yeah, you know, the market value is so contingent on the human value, and if you try to do it the other way, it gets lost, and that's when, you know, you have this soulless stuff going on, and, you know, is what it is. But hey, I appreciate you guys so much for having me on.
Hey, thank
Always
you
a
for
pleasure
coming on.
talking with you.
No,
all. So
absolutely.
man,
Good to see you, Phil.
And and definitely come back on the 30th, and we're gonna just have some more fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm there. Let's
right.
do it. Festivus reunion. I'm ready. Let's go.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right, love you, brother.
All right, love you guys too. See you later.
See you.
Peace.